What is happening, everyone? Pumped! It's Wednesday. Sorry, I was a little out of control there. I was backstage talking to Scott Foster Harris, and this guy's got a good voice. He's got some good sound. I mean, he should, of course, right? He has been using those vocals, flexing for a while now in that direction, in that department. Glad to have him in the community. Glad to have Hexicans that have many different talents. I come from a security background, engineering type. We have rock stars. We have musicians of every sort, really. And we got rappers. We have people from professional backgrounds, from finance, we have people who just want to believe and have hope that if they put in the work, they don't have to work for the rest of their lives for anyone else. They still want to work. They just want to work for themselves. They want to own their own time, all that stuff. You probably heard me say it a million times, so I'm not going to repeat all the. I don't know. We're going to get a little philosophical today. I have a feeling too. So you may hear me say some things that I've said before, but elaborate on as well. What's up, AJ Rip City? I know there's a lot of streams going on. I checked. Actually, I was like, notify me of the stream happening at 4:00, and it was Sloth, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. Okay, it is Sloth and Axis. And I was like, I want to see that, and I was like, oh, I'm on at that time too, I guess. And then somebody else was going, and I was like, stop taking the 7:00 Eastern slot. But yeah, that's how good it is in the community. We have so many people going at the same time. Gotta pump it up. Gotta pump it up. So you're pumping him up right now. I think he's excited. He seems to be happy to talk to everyone too. And I'm excited to get to know him a little bit. I forget who messaged me about him. It's like, you should have him on your show. And yeah, let's talk. And then, we ended up chatting and then getting a slot scheduled and stuff. And I started doing a little bit of background, trying to figure out what he's interested in, what projects he likes and stuff. So I've prepped a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of, he does some really cool, just like, I don't know what you call it. It's motivational, but also, I don't know what you call not monologue. I'll ask him when he gets here in a minute, but how he would describe the videos he does. But they're, you got to put yourself out there to do stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I can't see myself doing, 30-second minute clips like that. Maybe 15 second. I've been doing actually, I'm going to post that right now. Boom. I did a short today. It's at the lake earlier. Did a short. And check that out. I did it. And I got one more, maybe in the pipeline as well. So you guys can check that out. What's up, Jaden? Jaden's been killing the last few streams as well. Get in paid 54 minutes, Jerry. I don't know what that means, Jerry. Get in paid 54 minutes. ETH is free falling. Maybe it's related. I still don't know what you're talking about. Let me know what you're talking about, Jerry. Jerry is a local Hexican that we hang out. Oh, this weekend we're hanging out. That's true. That's happening. Share the link, everyone. Like I said, I know we're spreading it thin as far as people on live streams today because a lot of good ones happening around the same time at least. But this should be a fun conversation. Without further ado, welcome to the stream, Scott Foster Harris.
Hey, guys. Dude, so happy to be here, man, with you.
I've been excited all day. I've been out today, running some errands, doing some stuff. Stopped by the lake, as I said. And daily payout. That's what Jerry said. Daily payout. And then I was like, I got to stream with Scott. Should I say Scott Foster Harris? Should I say Scott SFH?
You can call me. You can call me Scott. You can call me SFH. You can call me Susan. Whatever works for you.
Such a very almost famous name. Almost like you're famous somewhere. People scream your name in the audience. Things like that. I want to say the whole thing, but I guess I should just say Scott.
In the very beginning when I first started the music thing, Scott Harris was a really common name, I thought. And I figured I needed to differentiate myself somehow. And I liked my middle name. So I was like, I'll just go all Stevie Ray Vaughan on them and throw all three at them and just see what happens. And it worked.
I like it. That makes sense. You want to have, branding. I've learned so much in the last few years over branding too. Listen to Richard and listen to other people as well. But having something that's, you can't misspell it. It's easy to say. It rhymes with something. You can do good slogans with. It's brandable. Having a brandable name and just way you market yourself is I don't spend a lot of time on it, but I think having the basics under control, that makes huge. I've seen other YouTube channels where I'm just like, if they just change this one thing, everything, to me at least, my viewing would be much better. And don't want to tell anyone how to stream, but there's these little things that if you get them correct, they just open up a whole new world of like viewers and subs and stuff too.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I think whatever that is, you're doing it because your channel is growing exponentially, and it should. You have some absolutely fantastic content. All of your interviews are wonderful. All of your videos are wonderful. All of the little sections that you cut up are very informative for people that don't have time to sit around and watch, an hour and a half or 2 hours of a live stream. It's very, very helpful. And you're doing all the right stuff, in my opinion. So all those little things that you were just talking about, looks like you're employing a bunch of them, man.
I've got, I've thought about, of course, appreciate the kind words. And that's, we're talking about backstage of how to put the least amount of effort and get the most bang for buck. And that doesn't mean you don't work hard. It doesn't mean you don't put energy and time and focus into it. It just means that you make the process so frictionless that you don't hate doing it, which motivates you to do it and keep producing the value. So I never want to hate what I'm doing. I don't want to get to a point where I push myself where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I also want to produce quality content. So you got to find that balance. And thankfully I've worked on, I tell people that, say, oh, why'd you get into streaming, blah, blah, blah. It's just another project for me. It's like, I'm about projects. I like creating stuff. I like making stuff happen. Streaming, it could be a coding project. It could be an outdoor project. Streaming is just a project for me. And with projects, I want to make sure I'm hitting on all verticals. I want to make sure it succeeds. So to me, it's just, hey, this is what I would naturally do if I was writing software right now, or if I was outside building something or working anywhere else. To me, I just want to make it succeed. So I just, kind of flip all the gears to make that happen.
Yeah, man. I think that's only natural. We should all aspire to do that. I've done that here. When I first started recording, I'd have to go to the studio every day, and I just got tired of it. And so I just brought a studio here, and now I've got the whole studio set up where it's all streamlined. Everything's in place. I don't have to move stuff around all the time. I do sometimes, but not all the time. And yeah, man, I can wake up, have coffee, whatever it is, and feel good, and then come up here and then work all day until my voice gives out like it has now. I can just, and I don't have to go by anybody else's schedule. I can make my own schedule, but that's only because of streamlining our efforts. So word to that, man.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing when you can just, when you're able to create things based on what you like to do, and bonus, they create, value for society, and you create value for society, they tend to give it back to you. And you can do it every day like that. I think that's everyone's dream, whether they realize it or not, whether they have time to focus on it and think about it or not. If you really, got them out of their routine and said, hey, what do you really want to do with your life? I think a lot of people would say, I just want to, do what I want to do, whether that's productive or not. Like, I just want to be the best version of myself and whatever I feel that to be.
Truth.
And, that's at least that's what it means to me. And I don't think I'm alone in that.
On that topic, really quick.
Sure.
I've been fortunate that I've been able to make music my whole life. That's what I've done. That's what I do. That's my living. That's my vocation. It's my advocation. It's my passion. But a lot of the music that I make, some of it is the music that I want to make. And some of it's music that I don't really want to make, but I'm being paid to make it. So, that's what I do. So I spend X amount of my time working on music specifically that is not my creation or my passion. I still enjoy it very much because it's music. It's what's in me, but it's not something that I created. And one of the things that I'm most excited about when it comes specifically to PulseChain and HEX, I really think, I absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt that is going to be an avenue that affords me the opportunity to rise above the necessity of having to create a bunch of music that I don't necessarily want to create. I think I still have another couple of years of that ahead of me because I'm not going to touch my sacrifices. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to stake it in all the places that needs to be staked, and I'm backing off and I'm going to let it grow. So I've got a couple more years of that ahead of me, I think. But after that, I think that I'm going to be, and you would agree, I would presume, and probably most people that are watching this, that we're going to be in a financial position where we don't have to pursue things that we don't want to pursue, where we don't have to go down avenues that we don't want to go down. We can commit all of our time to doing what you just said, that which you want to do. And I don't even have the words to describe how excited I am at that prospect. I'm very pumped up, as you can tell, for the future.
That's what motivates me too. It's I'm not really one for Lambos. I'm not one for fancy wealth or anything like that. I just want to be able to own my time. I just want to be able to spend it where I want. That's it. That's all. I mean, I guess, is that just...
It's a great statement, man. You want to own your time. That is the Lambo.
It's that simple. Yeah, that is the Lambo. The Lambo is owning your own time.
Yeah.
Rockstar, AJ Rip City.
AJ,
man, great. Not even intro. It's more of a... We're about to get to your intro, but more of a pre-intro. What's the music equivalent of that? It's the
an interlude or
interlude. That's what I was looking for. Interlude. Nice. I love it. Musical. With that being said, great segue to why don't you talk about who you said you've been doing music your whole life, all these things. How is that? How did you come from music to get into crypto, finding Richard Hart? What motivated you, and just kind of talk about like your story as far as that goes.
So I got into music from an injury that I sustained back when I was 17, or I might have been 18. I was 17 or 18. And while I was healing, I got into music. Hammered out music in Texas for a long time, hammered out music in Nashville as a songwriter for a long time, stumbled into the rock world, and had to go to LA for that due to the opportunities that presented themselves. Hammered that out for a long time and enjoyed it. And whatever notoriety I do have, or I did have, it came from that for the most part. A little bit from Nashville, but mostly from the rock ventures, which is what my passion is, But I got into crypto also by accident. Same way I learned how to, the same thing that got me into music. It was an injury that I sustained in rodeos. Another story. That was an accident. I got into crypto as an accident. I had been out of town. I had to go to Florida and this was in December of this last year. I had to go to Florida to perform for some shows. I got the C word, I guess, on the plane. The wifey and I both did. And I thought I'd had it before. I guess I didn't, because it hit me really hard. And I was down for the count for a while. Maybe it was the OG version. I don't know. But while I was, after a week or so, and I was really spending a lot of time on YouTube, because what am I going to do? I had a lot of jobs stacking up for vocals, but I couldn't sing. I couldn't talk, hit me really hard. And I, for whatever reason, call it God, call it luck, I kept getting this video pushed in my face from YouTube. And I don't know why, because I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to crypto at all. And it was a video of Richard. It was a very nice, polite interview. And I was on with Crypto Heartbeat a couple of weeks ago, and he pulled that specific interview up, and I can't remember what it was called, but he was speaking with a woman. They were facing each other in a chair. Yeah. You probably
great interview.
Most people have probably seen it. It's a couple hours long, I think. And I just finally, because I was tired of seeing the title, something along the lines of, billionaires making people rich.
Yeah.
I finally clicked on it. So I thought to myself, if I click on it, this will go away. Well, bro, I was captured. One of the first things I heard him say was, it might have even been during the intro or the interlude to the interview, but he said something along the lines of, oh yeah, really nonchalantly, went up 1,000,000%, 10,000x. And I was like, hang on, 10,000x? So like $1 turns into $10,000, and I rewound it. And that's what he said. So I watched the whole thing, but it captured me. And during that interview, I thought to myself, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy is legit. I like this guy. So I'm going to learn a lot more about him. I believed him right from the start. And then you start discovering all the hate that he was getting, which you can see through. A lot of that's just, tactics, people trying to dissuade others from paying too much attention to him, or people trying to steal his attention, or, belittle him. Maybe it's jealousy, whatever it might be. Everybody has their own motives. For
those people saw all of his other interviews.
Those people saw all his other interviews.
Yeah. I'm glad you saw that one. Like I tell people,
too.
if I would have seen him, in the other interviews, before, let's see, I mean, I've been watching since 2017, so I've seen the evolution. I understand, why he does the fashion shows and watches all the stuff today. But I always tell people, if I would have found Richard in 2022 or even late 2021, I don't know if it was stuck with me.
I agree.
I was really looking for a mentor at that time. And for you, I mean, that's one of the best interviews. I think that one and the one with Valuetainment he did recently. That one,
was great. Yeah.
I would pause it and just watch it every day. I'd watch like a few minutes of it because it was just so good. And like,
it's inspiring.
Like, motivating. Yeah, it's nice.
We need those little motivational bits to power through the day every day. I get it.
Yeah. So that's what hooked you on that. Like you just felt like that power of not only he's saying, hey, you're looking for something. He's telling you, hey, I got something for it. You saw the power in the message and like the positivity.
Yes. I can't even say I was looking for it. It just reached out and grabbed me. I didn't grab it. And it wasn't even HEX that first got me. The 10,000X got me, but he spent a lot of that interview talking about, his experiences, his past, some of which I can relate to, but he kept talking about this pulse thing. Like, what is pulse? And so I started researching that. And then I discovered PulseX. And I'm like, well, what's this sacrifice thing? That doesn't make sense. And it was like day 13 or something of the sacrifice. And so, I didn't get the best rate, but once I figured it all out, I definitely sacrificed. So I got a rate and I'm happy about that. I didn't sacrifice nearly as much as I wanted to because the exchanges wouldn't, release my funds in time. I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know anything about anything. I could barely even pronounce MetaMask. I didn't know what that was. This was all in January.
How long before were you in? Did you know much about crypto before the sacrifice?
No, very, very little.
You just saw this video and you thought, wow, this is my shot.
Yes.
I like this guy. I believe what he's saying. And then you just found PulseX and you're like, cool, sacrifice. I give them money and I'll probably get something back. And then
hopefully I do.
I need to do this. Like, is that how it works?
Have you seen those movies? This is the answer. Have you seen those movies, those satirical movies where a guy or the subject does or says or realizes something, and then all of a sudden you see a shot of them from above and there's a light shining down and they're like, and they get it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what that was for me. It's not like I wasn't looking for that. I really wasn't looking for anything. I was just trying to heal from COVID I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that word. I was trying to heal from the C word. And, I just kind of had one of those moments where I didn't really understand it. But sometimes intellect is very important, or attention maybe is a better term. You have to pay attention and you have to be aware of things. But sometimes intuition is even more important in life. And that was one of those moments for me. Intuition was screaming at me, do this, do with whatever you can. And so I did. And it was only after that I learned about PulseChain. And then a few weeks into that, I started learning a lot about HEX. And that just captured me, man. And I dove deep into that. And I studied it as much as I could. And, I got it. And I'm like, oh man, well, all these funds that I couldn't get into the sacrifice because by the time I got them in my hands, the rate wasn't worth it. Although looking back now, it probably would have been worth it, but I didn't know it at the time. I was like, I'm just going to buy HEX with it. So I just bought a bunch of HEX. And initially I bought like around, I think my first buy was 18 cents. And then I bought at 21. And then all the way down to where we are now. I've just been DCAing the whole time, and staking a lot of it, staking the overwhelming majority of it. And now I've learned a lot more about staking, and instead of just staking, I'm putting together strategies, So, but
that's a powerful story. That's something I couldn't even imagine that an interview, even one of his best interviews, could reach someone who doesn't know, at the time didn't know much about crypto, had never heard of the products before, but it compelled you so much to go search and then just believe it. What a sacrifice, and you just like all these hurdles you just instantly got through. I just can't believe that. This is an unbelievable story. Like
never,
and you can't be the only one. There's got to be more people that happened to with that message too.
and never underestimate the power of the spoken word, and never underestimate the power of intuition. Not even our intuition, the intuition of those that might be watching that interview by accident, like I was. I was speaking with there's a musician friend of mine, rock star over in Europe, great dude, guitar player for a band in Austria called Contrast. I was talking with him maybe 2 weeks ago. We were just chatting and catching up on life. And I was like, yeah, man, at the end of the conversation, I was like, oh, yeah, by the way, crypto. And he was like, yeah, crypto here too. And I'm like, oh, cool. Which crypto? And he's like, HEX. I was like, wait, HEX? And he was like, yeah, HEX? And I'm like, yeah. So, it's out there, man. It's reaching, and I've never spoken to him a word about crypto. I didn't even know he knew what crypto was, but he's in HEX and he's excited about it. We spoke about it intelligently for a little while. We spoke about it, not just like, oh yeah, it's cool, but we talked about a lot of the specifics of it. So it's out there, and it's not getting any less out there. It's getting more and more out there. It's really exciting, and the situation that we're in now with this bear, and especially in regards to the macro environment, which is just decimating markets all across the board. What a blessing that is for those that just look a little bit ahead to the future and don't want a 10x tomorrow. Man, this is, in my opinion, and I don't know much, but I think this is a generational opportunity that we can't let pass us by. My opinion, my thoughts.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think there's so many people who generally they want to take $100 and they want to make 1,000. They want to make 10,000. They've been trained that way on the street, and that's a great way to hustle when you're doing stuff outside of crypto. Like, don't get me wrong, that's a fine way to do it. Like that should be your goal for a lot of, traditional finance stuff, as far as, trying to turn it and put it into other things that, risk on versus risk off, all that stuff too. But for these type of products that Richard has, and even some of them in the community as well, you can't just put $100 in and then complain for 6 months. Why isn't it? When release, when launch, all this stuff. That's not how it works. Like you have to get past that mentality of a quick buck, that type of thing. And it's just a struggle. And then
it might have worked that way by accident for a couple in the very beginning of HEX, but they, even though it's only $100, that's still a risk because there was nothing proven at that point. So they were taking a massive risk in regards to a track record, massive risk. And so they got that kind of return. It was luck, and it was the willingness to take a massive risk. You can't expect that kind of return now, that if you're not willing to take that kind of an overwhelmingly massive risk like they did.
Well, I'd watched Richard for over 2 years before HEX launched, and I still didn't believe that he was going to be that successful with HEX.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I mean, for 2 years, I watched this guy talk about it. I remember, I think about this the other day. He was telling people, I remember interviews, he was saying, trying to talk about strategies for the adoption amplifier, all this stuff. And in my head, I was like, man, why you're pushing this so hard? Like, are you sure? Like, I almost wanted to say, like, stop being so reckless, telling people to invest in something. You never did this before. How are you going to? RHMax was thinking this during the HEX launch. Yeah. And then afterwards, I'm like, whoa, he did it. This is crazy. He actually did it. Yeah. Why didn't I get more? That type of thing. So if anyone has if anyone out there is having doubt about whether he can do it or not, the person who tries to use first principles thinking and actually watched him for 2.5 years and all this stuff before HEX and knows that future products, current upcoming products, I have no doubt they will be successful. No doubt in my mind. It's not even a question. It's just like, how much can I get in there to benefit from? That's the only question I have. What can I sell around here? Like, what can I do? I'm not going to live poor or anything, but like, what can I, is there anything I can get rid of that I don't need that I can use to leverage myself better and to get more out of this? That's it.
If you watch some of the streams I did the last couple of weeks, you probably would notice back there where now there's a Fender Deluxe Reverb, I think is what it is, but there used to be a big Marshall, and it's not there anymore because I haven't used it in a few years. I'm like, bro, it was an old 1978 JMP. It was awesome, but nice. You know, I'm not playing stadiums now. I'm in a little
Hold on.
studio, and I
Did
can't.
you just call the guitar hot top? You call the guitar hot top?
The guitar hop top?
No, I can't speak today. You called the guitar top.
The guitar top.
Yeah. That's why you got rid of it?
No, it was an amp, and I got rid of the amp because I'm not playing huge places anymore, and I don't use it, and I got a decent penny for it, and I did that exclusively so that I could further DCA, which is exactly what I've done with it. So, because you mentioned you're going around, you're looking at throughout your house thinking, what can I sell to get more liquid cat that I don't need to worry about, that I can buy hex with? That's what I'm doing. Like, I've been selling gear that I haven't fooled with for years, like that Marshall. Even though it was vintage, I can buy another one in the future in a couple years when I don't have to look around. Yeah. So maybe it was the amp top. I don't know.
The Fed announcement. He's like, I'm looking around. I think this is the top. I think it's the top. I'm gonna start selling this stuff. I'll buy back later with mad gains. Don't worry. Yeah.
True story. That's the goal.
Got a question from Hazma. What are your thoughts and
expectation, I think, is what
expectation. Okay, about holding PulseX for 5 years. Scott, you got anything?
That's a long hold, man. I think that you're going to be in great shape as long as when you get your PulseX. All I can do is tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to not touch it for a couple of years because I really think that once this next bull starts, whether it's, halfway through the coming year or the beginning of 2024, which I hope it's halfway through the coming year or sooner for that matter. But, I want to ride that wave up, and I'm not going to get shaken out by the little ups and downs. And I'm not going to try to time the market. I'm not going to try to sell on those peaks and then buy in the valleys because I don't know what PulseX is going to do short term. I do know I don't want to be left behind. I want the seat on the train or my plane ticket, and then I want to go in first class and take a big long nap and just enjoy myself, have a scotch maybe. And that's what I'm going to do, metaphorically speaking, of course, in regards to my PulseX. I'm not going to touch it for a couple of years, 2 years minimum, probably 3 years. And then I'll start looking at, and this is just my strategy. Everybody has their own strategy. Then I'll start looking at, okay, maybe I'll start taking 5% here and there and changing this about my life or changing that about my life. I'll never do a lot of it. Hopefully I'll be in a position where I can only take small amounts and benefit from that. Or maybe I'll stake it. I'll probably end up staking it and try to do that with the rewards, with the incentives. But I won't be fooling with it for a couple of years. Not touching it for 5 years, bro, if you do that, you're going to be, in my humble opinion, which again, I don't know much, you're going to be beyond golden. Because I think in the long run, PulseX, especially with the buy and burn, if you watch K4K's videos, specifically where he goes deep into the specifics of that, there's no way it can't just rise exponentially. Even if nobody's buying, even if nobody buys it, the buy and burn itself causes it to rise.
I like that. We don't need buyers. We have buy and burn.
We don't even need buyers. Yeah. Buyers are good. We like buyers, so we don't need them.
I mean,
Top Gun's another guy who really goes into that, man. They're both great guys.
Oh yeah. I had him on 100% uptime not too long ago.
Good dude.
Of course. Let's get into. I'll talk a little bit about. We'll go in from HEX. A little bit of philosophy there too. I want to talk to you about because you do again some amazing videos. Very clear.
Thanks, man.
Very just I don't know like. I'd tell people, why do you start watching Richard? Not only for his intellect, but also just attractive like that. Just like he kind of draws you in. And I think you have some of that power too, of just like you could just get people to listen to you just based upon your face emotions, the way you speak, that kind of thing. You have that kind of persona.
Thank you.
And you're using it for good, which is kudos for that. A lot of people don't use it for good, so you're using it for that. How can you, when you think about maximizing your utility in the community? And that's something Richard's talked about too, and I really took it to heart. That's another reason I started streaming. Is like I want to provide maximum value to the community through whatever skill sets I have. You being into music, all this stuff too. How do you feel like yourself and then other people? How can they really, if they're just going through day to day, they're just jumping on the live streams and chatting and stuff. That's one thing. That's great support. We love that, of course. Don't leave my chat right now. Don't leave my chat. But if you're looking for something more to do more for the community, how would you say are the best ways for Hexicans out there to have the most utility and like really just be able to make the most out of their talents for the community?
It's a great question. First, I would say get out of the echo chamber, because a lot of us many Hexicans, many PulseXans, it's important to be in there for a little bit, I think, because it compels those who are listening to listen and to ingest that information, to learn what's good about Hex, to learn what's good potentially about Pulse and PulseX, etc. After you've become that, after that is ingrained in you and you've thought about it, you're not just repeating what you hear, but you hear something and then you think about it and you ponder on that and you philosophize on that and you spend time with it and you understand it and you internalize it. Get out of the echo chamber and get out into the world and share that with people one-on-one, which is what I do. I felt like, thank you for mentioning those videos. I initially started that maybe a month and a half ago or so, after being off of social media entirely for years, almost half a decade, maybe just a post here and there, but I hadn't fooled with it at all because I really don't know much about marketing, or I don't know much about social media. But I started making those videos, the motivational ones, initially just for two reasons. I wanted to know how to make a video because I hadn't, I've always been the performer in the video, but I've never actually made one. So I got to do that. So I started making those to learn how to do it. And this is to your point, I'm getting to it. And then the second reason I started doing those was I realized early on that doing those was food for me. I needed that motivation myself. So getting up, getting in a good mood and turning on the camera and just feeling good and just talking to the camera for a minute or two, or sometimes it's only 40 seconds, or even do it a couple of times, it feel good. I get worked up. I get excited about the day. Mm-hmm. So in doing that, I have learned how to make videos. And now you may or may not have noticed, while I'm continuing to do that, and I always will because I love it, I need that daily food, or that every other day I need that food, that motivational food. I'm also making videos about Hex, or about PulseChain, or about wallets, or about just little aspects of crypto that I wish I could have seen back when I first started in January. So instead of watching an hour-long video on on what MetaMask even is, not how to work it, but what it is, just a little snippet where a value-packed, information-packed snippet that really would take me a long way in regards to understanding the basic concepts of something like a MetaMask. I'm making those now. So I'm making lots of those. I'm making those about Hex. I'm making them about PulseChain. So, and the reason that I'm doing that is because, like you said, I want to add whatever value I can to the community. And there's still a lot about social media that I don't get, and I probably never will, and marketing, because that's just not where my skill sets are. And even though I know they're incredibly important, I'd rather get to a point where, I'd rather just do what I want to do. And that's the creative side. And I really, really do enjoy that. So in terms of adding value, what are your skill sets for those interested, or those watching the replay? What are your skill sets? What do you do? Are you good with numbers? Maybe you could work out spreadsheets and go through things the way that Top Gun does, or Sam Stolt, great dude. He's on with Gemrat all the time. Love dude. Sam's amazing. Maybe you're good on camera, or maybe you're a good talker, or I don't want to say salesman because that term has a negative connotation, but maybe there's something about you that's interesting. Maybe there's a charisma there. And if that's the case, get on camera, talk about it, decide what a subject you want to talk about, get on camera and just talk about it, whether it's live streaming or whether it's making little videos. Maybe you're a musician. I wrote a silly song called the PulseChain song. There's lots of musicians in this community.
I haven't heard. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Oh, cool. Well, I can play it for you before it's over with. Yeah, it was like a month ago.
You're offering, yes, that is a definite yes on that. Yeah, just maybe before we end, then remind me. That'd be awesome.
I'll have to find the lyric because it's been a while since I've sang it. But I recorded it like a month ago. It was fun.
That's awesome.
But that's an example of just trying to find, and that really wasn't necessarily to provide education. That was just for the sake of entertainment. And there was a lot of negativity in the community at that time. And I thought, again, I had the C word again, believe it or not. And I just kind of wrote it and was like, that's really fun. I'm going to record it as soon as I'm well. And hopefully it'll lighten the spirits of the community. And it had that effect. Everybody really seemed to like it. It lightened the spirits a lot. And at least for a few days. And that was important to me. So whatever your skill set is and whatever your passions are, spend time thinking about how can I utilize those to spread the word, whether it's an educational word or an inspirational word or an entertaining word or visual art or something. How can I create or how can I contribute? And no one can give you that answer except you. Only you can figure out how you can contribute. And I would say, don't try to do something that you don't want to do because you won't stick with it.
Yeah. Well, if there's something, that's a interesting distinction too, we could bring up is something that you don't want to do because you don't enjoy it and something you don't want to do because you're uncomfortable doing it.
Word.
Public speaking, for example, getting on stream, writing, just like, creatively writing, starting a blog, all these things can help you get the HEX message out. The more certain, that's why, so rhmax.org/blog, that's where most of my written content goes. If it's not on Twitter, it's on that blog. And if I'm not streaming about it, and sometimes there's, collaboration stuff like that too. But the more positive searches we have for HEX PulseChain, the more people who, I write a technical blog. Most of my blogs are technical. So the more people who, if I'm searching and I see, I'm not sure about HEX, I'm not sure about whatever, but I see there's people writing about it who seem intelligent. They don't seem like scammers. They seem like people who, know a little bit about blockchain. They know about these other, professional areas, and they're into it. That gives me more confidence that, hey, maybe there's something else too. Maybe I need to dust off, all the, I need to go a little bit deeper to understand why there's so many people who, seem to be, good at all these other things. They're into this particular product.
That's right.
So that's where I hope to reach people with the blog too. And of course, our community. But with streaming, when you brought up that you think the clips and stuff help a lot too, I certainly agree. I think for me, I don't even think about, or I haven't been prioritizing, I do it in subtle ways, haven't been prioritizing people outside of our community for the clips, because I know people inside the community, I know they'll get a lot of value out of it, or at least that's the idea. But I have been trying to even change the titles a little bit, or make it not specifically HEX or PulseChain in the title for a lot of clips, just so, especially, if we're talking about the Ethereum merge and stuff like that, I'll just name the clip, blah, blah, blah about Ethereum merge. And then of course, during the conversation, we're going to be talking about HEX and the pairs and stuff on that.
Yep. So
that kind of subtle things where it's not clickbait. It's not being, malicious or anything. I'm just saying, like, here's about the Ethereum merge. But also, you're going to hear us talk about HEX during the conversation. Maybe that'll get you interested in things like that. And, it's not about taking it out of the title. It's about being opportunistic with how you reach your audience.
Well,
and that's like some of the little tricks and stuff that, I don't want to say tricks. Again, tricks have a negative connotation. It's like some of the ways I'm able to reach
marketing
audiences.
techniques.
Yeah. And I'm like the anti-marketing. That's one thing that Richard really opened my eyes up about too, is coming from an engineering type background, engineers search for truth. Marketing is like the antithesis of engineering. Like that's why those two groups, they do not get along. Engineering always hates marketing. Marketing hates engineering. They never see eye to eye because two completely different mindsets. Like, engineers want truth. They don't want fluff. They want to know exactly how it works, all the caveats, all the stuff like that. Marketing, for the most part, doesn't really care as much how it works. How can I sell it? How can I get the message out? And I'm not saying it in a bad way. That's a good thing. Like, without marketing departments, you can't sell the product. Without a product, you have nothing to sell. So you need both. So but for me, coming from that background, it's like, I always thought, no, I'm looking for the truth. Like, I don't, Richard, he does all these things and he, exaggerates and, just only talks about the positive things about the product, all this stuff. And for a while, I was like, man, that's, I kind of had to turn that side off of me to really get the message of what he was talking about. And then eventually I realized it doesn't matter. Like all this stuff doesn't matter. The story, and this is blasphemous coming from an engineering type background, the story is more important than the truth a lot of times. And just because it's a story that doesn't happen to line up with every single fact here and there, that's irrelevant. Like the narrative is powerful. It's what draws people in. Most people don't care about the exact truth of every little single thing. They want to know how it's useful to them. So you got to make it palatable for them to consume. But that's just, I think that turns a lot of people off that come from those backgrounds who can't quite get over the way he talks about things. Because he's not, I mean, he'll even now he'll talk about something. I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of caveats with that, or that's a way oversimplification, blah, blah, blah. He's not there to tell you, he's not there to do this technical deep dive with you. He's there to tell you how it's going to change your life. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And that's what I learned.
He's there to push the narrative.
The narrative, and push it in a way that it's less propaganda and more, what does it mean to you? Because
great statement. Yeah, man.
If you want people to follow you, you have to make it explicit and implicit of why should they do it? Why should they put their time into you over anyone else? And you want eyes to glaze over? Start talking about all the technical details.
Word.
You want people to hit the sub button? You want people to watch every live stream you ever have? Tell them how you're going to change their life. And that's what Richard's done.
Now and then, though, on that note, you have to insert a little bit of technical detail so that those watching know that you know what you're talking about.
Definitely. And that's what I like to see. But I try.
I like to see that too. I like to see that too.
Just enough of it. And HEX doesn't have a white paper, right? It's just there's a website and all this stuff. It doesn't really have a white paper with the way we traditionally think about white papers.
Right.
But if you go and you search on YouTube and you find all these technical explanations, you go watch Wells Only and hear him talk about how a T-share works and all this stuff.
I did that often in the early days.
That's the white paper. You don't need a PDF to sell this product. You watch a few hours of streaming, you're going to be like, whoa, nobody else is doing this.
Yeah. Watch some smart people talk about it. That's one of the things. That's another, maybe I left that part out earlier. That captured me in regards to Richard early also, because I would watch some debates or just some regular conversations he'd be having with people and would talk about the failings or the weak points, if you want to call it that, of say Bitcoin. And he'd get really technical for 10 seconds, and then he'd go back to a narrative driven discussion. But those little snippets of extreme technicality that would leave whoever he was debating or talking to speechless, that was a lot of validation for me early on, because I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he knows what he's talking about, and he knows what he's talking about better than the guy that he's talking to, better than anyone, I would imagine. That was really instrumental for me early on.
I bet Richard could even tell you what marketing technique or mental model that is too.
Where
you go with the narrative and then you pause, insert some technical, what would you call that? Like to give people confidence in what you're saying. Oh, I don't understand what he said, but it sounded really good. Okay, back to narrative. I bet there's like a technique where he does that for, that works on a lot of people. No, it's for good. He uses these techniques for good. People are like, oh, that's so scammy. No, not from a person with his mission.
Right. That's right.
His mission. Like, this is different. I hate saying it, but it's different this time. This guy is not the guy that's a scammer. He's not that guy.
That's right.
He is the one that we're so lucky to have.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. I agree completely.
We're going to get back into HEX in a minute, but again, these motivational videos, they just really made me want to ask you some questions more about purpose, meaning, happiness, desire. Like, what do you feel? What do you feel are the biggest things we can conquer as individuals in our lives just to make things better? Like all these different things going on. Like, what can we do to just live a better life as far as controlling anxiety, all that stuff?
Controlling anxiety is a big one. I can speak with what worked for me, and I lived my life was very tumultuous. Lots of people's were, I'm sure. I was afforded some opportunities that a lot of other people might not have been afforded, given, me stumbling into the right situation at the right time. in the music world. So I got to do a lot of really neat things that a lot of other people didn't get to do. And I was a wild young man. I was a wild fellow. And dude, none of that made me happy at all. In fact, it made it way worse because I got caught in that echo chamber. You know, I thought that was the goal. I was like, I'm in my 20s. I'm living the dream. That wasn't the dream, man. That was what I thought that was the dream. That was just a stepping stone to becoming the person that I'm supposed to be. And I didn't know who that was for a really long time. Even after, whenever I left the main band, just because we were just done. And I left the continent. Like I moved away. I moved to Europe. I was so torn up in the system, if you want to call it that, the American music system. I wanted to get away completely. And so when we took a big break, I just left. I moved to Europe and I stayed there for half a decade. And it was over there. I did a lot of soul searching, you know, because I knew what I had been doing my whole life wasn't working for me internally. I'd had a lot of fun, or what I thought was fun. And I'd done a lot of things and had a lot of experiences, but I wasn't happy at all. I was miserable, actually. And I had anxiety. And for me, I started looking at my worldviews. And I've gone through them all. You know, I went from extremely atheistic to eventually I realized there were a lot of issues intellectually with that worldview for me. And I'd never considered those before, philosophically, scientifically, historically, etc. But during my time in Europe, I had a lot of free time on my hands. I just moved over there and played music for fun and lived off the money that I had. And did that for half a decade. And so I started looking at that worldview, and I was dealing with a lot of the issues that I found with it. And I found that I'd stumbled into agnosticism, which is effectively, you know, you've heard people say, oh, there's something out there, I just don't know what it is. That's kind of agnosticism in a nutshell.
Yeah. Or I don't think anyone knows. So, you know, it's not worth talking about.
That's right. And there was a lot of issues that I couldn't square, you know, scientifically, for example, philosophically. And I guess during that time, I just stumped my toe and tumbled into deism, that's like a belief or the assumption that there's a creator, that we're not here by accident, but we don't know which creator it is. Or maybe it's just, you know, the idea of God. For me, it's God, but the idea of God made us here and then goes off on his own and he's separate from us now. And there were some philosophical issues with that for me. And I ended up coming to theism, which is God created us, we're here, and he's here too, paying attention and interacting with us if we want to, if we'll have it. And that's where I've landed. And specifically on the God of the Bible. I went through a lot of the theistic worldviews, read all the texts multiple times, and I ended up on the Bible. That one made the most sense to me. And it also gave me overwhelmingly the most joy and satisfaction that I had, and fulfillment. That's an important word that I'd ever had. And that worked for me. You know, and I'm still there today. So in those videos, every now and then I go off on a God tangent, and I'll just start talking about God for 30 seconds or 40 seconds, which is cool because I believe that with all my heart. I believe that. And then every now and then in those videos, I'll like take a piece of the Bible and talk about it. What does this mean? Because that's important to me. You know, that was part of my journey for half a decade. And so that was a really, really long way of trying to answer your question of how do we achieve fulfillment, or how do we find happiness or joy or satisfaction? How do we reduce anxiety? I can't tell you how to do that for everybody. I can tell you what worked for me. And that was it. That's what worked for me. And it actually is the wifey went down that same road. You know, I met her at the very end of my tenure, if you want to call it that, in Europe, and brought her back with me. And she was also in the atheistic camp like I was at the time. And it's been really neat going through all that with her. you know, and watching her change and grow from this lovely young woman that she was, but scared and, you know, bitter, like a lot of people in the world, like most people in the world, unsure, uncertain, anxiety ridden, to watch her go from that to this just beautiful, love filled, positive, giving creature that she is today has really been rewarding. It's really been neat to stand back, and you can see it in her face and our faces. If you look at photos from us from 6 years ago and photos of us from last week, dude, it's just two different people. And, you know, it's neat when you see, you know, little tiny tangible pieces of evidence. That's what I'll call it. Little pieces of evidence, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of little pieces of evidence. When you see that and you feel that, which you see, it's really rewarding. If that makes sense.
No, it's powerful, man. I think, whether you believe in something or not, or how you find your inner peace, the ability to find that and cultivate it and not lose your, you know, not have emotional responses to everything you see and hear, having a connection maybe with a higher power or otherwise, just being able to make the most out of every moment you have. You know, Sam Harris talks about, you know, I've watched both Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson.
I like them
diametrically opposed in a lot of ways. Yeah, diametrically opposed in a lot of ways as far as religion goes, but both amazing ideals and all these stuff that come out from them.
Agreed.
And
I like them a lot.
Do you ever watch their debates? The debates they have? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It's beautiful.
They're
Great
awesome.
Debates. Long-form
I
debates.
agree.
Watch those if anyone's interested in like super intellectual discussions about big ideals and philosophical ways of understanding things. Oh my God, beautiful.
Agreed. They're two of the best minds out there, I think. Yeah.
Just whatever tools you use to, you know, find your inner peace and just keep it as long as you have. You know, we only have Sam Harris, that's what I'm saying. Sam Harris only says there is no past, there is no present, there's only the present moment. And once you realize that, you can start, you know, living in that way.
It's very
not saying I did that, but like I think that's very motivational to try to get me there too.
Philosophically, it's very motivational and it's substantial. Literally, I don't agree with it, but philosophically, for the sake of a metaphor or an analogy or a motivational piece, I very much like that. I very much agree with it for that purpose. A lot. I was going to say something I forgot.
Yeah.
To your point about finding your inner peace. This is the key. You have to be willing to do that. A lot of people, and I was in this camp for most of my life, are coasting through life, letting other people tell them what's what, or just hearing a soundbite or a statement and thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to go with that. No. We can make sound bites about anything. Anyone can say anything. I can tell you that Santa Claus lives under my bed. I can't prove it to you. You'd have to come over here and look for yourself. Anybody can say anything, and anybody can give you sound bites that sound good, that lead you in a certain direction, but that's not good enough. To find that inner peace that you spoke about, people have to be willing to spend time and look at it and dive in. Don't let it come to you. Go to it. And you might not know what it is for a while, and that's okay. Spend the time, get out there and look and search and open your eyes and grab and try to find it, because it's there, man. And if you'll just open yourself to that and you'll move into that energetically with your time, with your energy, with your resources, you'll find it. You will find that. And like Sam Harris was talking about, I forget which debate he was talking about, anxiety-ridden people. That's one of the big reasons why people they don't know who they are. I didn't know who I was for a really long time. Most people don't. But if you're willing to get out there and look, you'll find you, if you want to call it that. You'll find you. But get out there and do it, because it's there. Well, that's where inner peace is.
I can look at it too. Getting out of yourself. There's so many people, you know, I see them and they have all these, they hold these contradictions about what they want to do. and they just can't get away from. They to get, you know, to be happier or to succeed or do whatever they want to do, whatever they give them peace, they can't get out of themselves. They're just stuck in themselves this whole time. And I think that maybe relates to you know, there's meditation studies. Naval Ravikant, another person I follow that talks about a lot of this stuff too. Naval, him and Richard, my two favorite people in the world, Naval Ravikant and Richard Hart. But just being able to like separate, you know, your and they're actually Naval's guru, Kapil Gupta, I think is his name. Read some of his books, and he's all about, you know, like separating, like you are not your mind. You know, he has a bunch of like, you know, pretty out there stuff, but I think it's like you said, you can take it metaphorically. Everything, you don't need to take it literally. You can take it metaphorically, and it can still help you think about things, help you reason about, you know, how to find these things.
Yes.
But those are good resources, I would say. I'm going to post them in the chat. I love them all. Love Kapil.
Plus, that goes back to what you were talking about earlier. And when we were talking about, even if you take them metaphorically, that goes back to what you were mentioning earlier about the narrative being important for people to grab onto initially, not necessarily the specifics or the literal meaning, but the narrative. That's how information was passed down for thousands and thousands of years. Most up until recently, until writing became mass produced, frankly, before everyone knew how to read or write. That's how knowledge was passed down, information from generations past. They would tell stories, and interwoven within those stories were concepts or specifics or lessons for the next generation. That's how we learned. That's how we communicated. That's why a lot of the Eastern cultures today, even today, to this day, their language, their linguistics are very metaphorical. There's a lot of analogy, a lot of hyperbole.
Oh yeah.
In their language.
You study Mandarin. Today. Mandarin, there's no direct translation for almost anything in Mandarin.
That's right.
I mean, I say that, I shouldn't say that much, but it's not that different, but it's, you know, you hear a word, you look up a translation, and it's like describing it. There's not a lot of direct translations. It's like, you know, describing what it is instead of like what the actual word is. So that's what came to mind anyways.
Well stated. 我会说一点普通话。
Heshwa. My Mandarin's not that good. What did you say?
I just told you I speak a little Mandarin. My Mandarin's nowhere near as good as it used to be. In fact, I've forgotten almost all of it. I can say a few things now. You know, 你是美国人吗? You're American, right? You're not Canadian.
Yeah, Megwa. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
word.
I recognized America. Yeah, I'm much better at reading the pinyin, not the characters, but reading it than I am putting sentences together.
Word.
But yes.
I can't read any of it. I had this girlfriend from China many years ago, and I learned a little bit.
I was about to say, there's got to be a girlfriend from China in this one.
That was how
girlfriend, wife, or otherwise.
I like languages, and I listen to them. Maybe because I'm a musician, but I listen really closely, and I liked the tonality of that language specifically, because you can say the same thing with different inflections in your tone, and it means different, even though it's the same word coming out of your mouth. If you say it with a rising tone or a descending tone or breaks in the tone, they mean different things, which is fascinating to me. So that it really attracted me about that language many years ago. But I don't remember.
Saying Huoshui. How do you say we drink water, actually? I forget the conjugation.
I don't even know. My German's a lot better.
Somebody in the chat speaking Mandarin, give us that translation.
Yeah. Any Mandarin speakers help.
Yeah. Your German's pretty good.
Yeah. And my German's good. I'll never have the grammar perfect because the grammar is really unnecessarily difficult in that language. So I'll never in my whole life get it perfect. A lot of native speakers don't get it perfect even. When I was living in Austria, that's why German. And my wife is from Austria, but my neighbor was a teacher, and she was like, yeah, almost all of my 18-year-old students cannot speak proper German just because the conjugations are too absurdly difficult. They get it wrong all the time. Yeah. The articles, the changing of the articles it's like they tried to make it as hard as they could, and they succeeded. But I really like the language. I love the language.
Yeah, I used to travel a lot, and I would spend a few days or a few weeks here and there, and I'd always try to pick up something from the local language And I was in Germany for a little while too, but I can't remember hardly anything.
Where about?
Mostly Berlin and mostly Berlin actually.
Great cities. Hamburg. If you want to just enjoy yourself, go up to Hamburg, man. It's a really fun city.
I've traveled all around Germany, but I haven't been to Hamburg. Been to Frankfurt, Berlin,
down to Munich,
a few other smaller cities. Yeah, definitely Munich.
Definitely down to Munich. Did you go for?
I was actually in Austria. I went to the Red Bull Museum down in Austria. Shout out to Red Bull.
Word in Salzburg.
There you go.
Right on, man. I lived in Vienna. There. I was a Viennese man for 5 years.
I've been there, but very, very short period. Actually, was I there about the same amount of time?
It's a cool city.
Yeah, so I didn't spend very much time in Austria, but it was very memorable.
The most important word that you'll ever need to know is just Pulse.
Pulse, yes. Pulse. Cheers. That's right. St. Duke says, first time seeing Scott, I love his vibe. Was he in LA Guns?
I was.
There we go.
I was a front man for a little while. It was a good time.
It's a good name. It's a good band name.
Well, I definitely wasn't the original singer. The original singer was actually Axl Rose. Well,
no, I was about to say you have a Guns N' Roses vibe going on right now.
Right on. That was my family of musicians for a long time. So I did another band also with Guns N' Roses with Tracy Guns called that's how they got their name, Tracy Guns and Axl Rose. Actually, it was initially LA Guns, and then Axl wanted his name in the band. This is what Tracy told me. So they changed their name from LA Guns to Hollywood Rose. And then Tracy decided he wanted his name in the band again and not Axl. So they changed it back to LA Guns. And then they finally just decided to meet in the middle and negotiate. And they came up with Guns and Roses, Tracy Guns and Axl Rose. That's how they came up with the name of the band. Yeah. That's how it all started.
Wow. And then, if we ever do karaoke, you know what song we're going to do?
Probably Sweet Child of Mine or something like that.
I'm not going to start singing. I'll leave the singing to you, the professionals, right now.
Word. We'll do it. We'll knock it out.
Hindu is like a lot to octave. Yeah, that's true. I don't know any Hindu, but I imagine so.
I don't know any Hindu either. That's super cool.
Does that mean cheers? Cheers. Selamat datang.
Selamat datang.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Could be something good. Could be something bad.
I hope it means cheers.
Yeah, I'm gonna imagine it means cheers or something nice. Somebody's gonna clip this and be like, it means F your mother and all this stuff.
Yeah. I'll just be saying it over and over again. They'll make one of those meme music videos of me where I'm just saying it constantly. That's the world we live in these days.
That would be funny. They say any publicity is good publicity. Right, there we go. Show business quotes right there.
Yeah, man. Well, Richard's showing that to all of us. Any publicity is good publicity. I might not have understood it all or even agreed with it all, but I can't deny the results that I see.
He knows how to get results, man.
He knows how to get results. I'm an evidence-driven man, and he seems to get them. I would have never done those things.
Numbers keep going up.
I wouldn't have thought that would work, but it has been. So
when people yell at him, he's just like, look at the numbers. They keep going up. It's working.
Yeah.
Outrage marketing is working.
It is.
Before we move on to crypto, to wrap up here in a bit, I'm talking about affirmations. And is that something you practice too? Is there, I find them, I don't say them every day, but there are certain phrases that really, really get me going.
Here. Yeah. But I do it in form of prayer now.
Okay.
I'll give you during my journey through atheism for most of my life, I guess in my early 20s, mid 20s, I got involved with, I became friends with, I don't know if you'd call her a mystic. And I'm not going to say her name, but she was, you could call her a psychic, I guess. But I will say where she was. And she had a big, so if somebody really wanted to do the research, they could figure it out. She was very famous in that world. She had a big facility in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I kind of got involved with her, and I learned or what I call learned, the power of affirmations. And I subscribed to that for a while. And where I would say things over and over and over again. I'd make rhymes out of them, etc., and try to, quote, manifest that to me. And I stopped doing it. Maybe I did it for probably, a year or so. And I stopped doing it because I just didn't feel right about it. And I don't know how to articulate that more effectively. I noticed that man, I don't know how to put this into words. The energies that I would draw into my life were not desirable when I would do that. Even though something that I wanted, like a physical, tangible thing or action that I wanted to manifest, would often manifest, there were a lot of negative energies and just black clouds hanging over it every single time. And so I stopped doing it, and a lot of that went away. And I think that's, being the faith-filled man that I am now, my view now is that I was really drawing on a lot of negativity. I was drawing on a lot of, I'll use the term evil. I'll use that term out there. In regards to manifesting something that I wanted tangibly or physically. And I could feel that when I look back. I recognize, whatever that is, the idea of evil, darkness, that's what I always felt around me when I would do that. And when I stopped, that went away. And so I very much do believe in affirmations or being positive, but not in the sense of constantly repeating myself or trying to tell these things. And I'm not coming down on anyone or doing that at all. I'm just giving you my experience and why I'm not there anymore. I do that in the form of prayer now. And prayer is not like I misunderstood it for a lot of my life. It's not like a petition. Like, I'm not petitioning God to, God, give me this. God, give me that. That's not what prayer is. Belief in God is a relationship with God. For me, it was. And that relationship is so very, very important. And when I get in prayer, other people may call it meditation, or maybe they experience that. But when I really desire to get into a state of prayer, and I pray, and I do this every day, I feel God. I feel the presence of him. He's right there. And it's I don't have a word. I'm rarely at a loss for words when it comes to trying to articulate that overwhelming, otherworldly, ethereal feeling. I can't put that into words, but I talk to God, and in so doing, I'm drawn into a perpetual state of positivity. And I find that if you want to call those affirmations, then yeah. But I do it in regards to giving thanks. I give thanks for just life. I give thanks for having the opportunity to be here. I give thanks for things that have manifested in life. I give thanks ahead of time for things that I expect to manifest in life, which may go to your method of affirmations. But most importantly, I just enjoy and bask in the relationship that's there. And I would have never imagined what that was until I experienced it. And I don't know how to tell somebody else what that is. They just have to experience it. So that another long-winded way of answering your question. But in that sense, I do that. I do that through prayer.
Yeah, I never thought, I guess I never needed to do it every day, but every once in a while when I feel, anxiety or stressed or like worried or uncomfortable, I sort of, there are some things I go to, I'm like, okay, if I remind myself of this, it's not even like making myself believe it. It's not a crutch. It's not come save me type of thing. It's just, reminding me that, you can do it. Like, you're stronger than you think,
That's right.
Like that. Every day is complete in and of itself. If you should never lose sleep about what you're thinking about the next day. Like, getting a good night's rest is more important than anything else you could be up thinking about all night. Like, it's just, 99% of the time, saying generally.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I agree completely.
So things like that, I think, are helpful just to kind of use to remind yourself. But I never felt as if I've used it to like save me or a crutch.
Yeah,
Never
I hear
viewed it
you.
like that. I'm always like, no, you can do, in so many different ways, in whatever context, you can do this. You can make it. You are able to, get through this, or you're able to have that energy you need, or you're able to, sleep well, like that kind of just reminding yourself. I think affirmations are helpful for that.
Yes. And yes, I agree with, in that sense, you could also call those little motivational videos that I make almost every day affirmations. In that sense, yes, absolutely.
Jordan.
I think, yeah. I need that. We need that. And but right before we go or finish this topic, I just kept doing it because I needed it. It was my food. And a lot of people seem to respond really well to them. I get a lot of private messages across all the platforms of people that I don't even know, reaching out saying, thank you. This is awesome. I love it. I look forward to this every day. Tons of them. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Great. I'll keep doing that then, for me, but for them also. And maybe that helps encourage and or inspire those people to look at themselves in the mirror and do that same thing to themselves every day. At least I hope it does.
That's external affirmations for you.
Word.
There you go. No, I think a lot of people in the chat have been talking about, they're definitely enjoying the conversation, and us going into this. I don't have a lot of guests on that want to get into a lot of these subjects.
Those are my favorite subjects.
I like to get into them. I'm very much, I don't want to call it self-help, self-development. It's more of just, I've spent so much time trying to be a healthier, happier, wiser person over the last few years. And I enjoy it. I like it, a lot of these things we talk about are meaningful, and I hope, other people who are looking for what they're looking for, they can get something out of it. So
I hope so too. That's what took me down. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not to say crypto's one thing, but there's money solves money problems.
I agree.
You got to solve everything else. You got to figure out another way.
It was the recognition of what you said just before about how important that is that led me down the big long path that I'm still on, but that I've been pursuing for the last 7-8 years, and that is the recognition one day that I need to get a firm grasp on what my worldview is, so that I know who I am and how I fit what the world is, because there's really, in the grand scheme of our existence, I cannot think of a more important question or a more important matter than that. What is truth in regards to truth? And that's kind of what led me down. And I think there's a lot of individual truths, or what I like this, but you might not like that. Those are two very different things. But I do believe very much in an absolute truth in regards to a variety of different things surrounding our existence, surrounding the world, the universe, etc. And what is that? How can I find that? Or how can I put myself in position to best find that, so that I can determine ultimately what my worldview is? I couldn't think of a more important matter in my life at that time, and really at any time. I can't think of a more important matter in anyone's life than that. Because if one is true, they can't all be true, because many of the different worldviews are mutually exclusive. They can all be wrong, but they cannot all be true. So I couldn't think of a better way to spend my time, my energy, my resources in trying to find which one, if any of them, I felt the best about. Which one evidentially, empirically, philosophically, spiritually, all the other lees, which one made the most sense to me, and thereby concluding that was reasonably the most likely candidate for the truth. And that's what took me down this big long road. And I think everyone that ever lived should go down that, or that.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll stick with that. Everyone that is alive should spend time on that, because there's nothing more important. If one is true and one isn't, the consequences could be dire. The benefits could be extraordinary. Spend time with that. That's what I did.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, everyone, just we're gonna transition. We're gonna transition back into crypto, I promise. But just let that soak in for a second. Take a moment. Take a deep breath. Feels good. Feels good.
It does.
Great conversation, man. Great conversation.
Agreed completely.
Fiji's asked, isn't HEX going to have a hard time with all the liquidity staking on the top 4 different chains it will soon be on? That's a great question.
It is a great question. I was wondering about that these last couple of days. Do you want to go first? You want me to?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say that I have not been, I don't know. I try not to present this in a way that makes me sound like I'm hating on people getting free coins. Because it's just this big part of me is just like, I want PulseChain. I don't want ETH Fair. I don't want ETH POW. I want PulseChain.
Yep.
So I want to spend my time, energy, and consciousness learning about how the most, the next most appreciating asset in the world is going to make life-changing wealth for everyone. And this one, these 2 trading pairs, and again, I'm glad that HEX is being marketed like crazy because it's, top coin on it, all this chain, all this volume. People are putting up liquidity. It's looking more and more legit as the days go by. It's been 5 or 6 days, and it's like, whoa, this thing's not going to die anytime soon. It's not going to die, but it's here. Whether it's a money grab or whether it's for some other principles or whatever it is. I try not to. People say, oh, ETH Classic, BCH. To those, I would say those had principles behind them. One was immutability. The other was Bitcoin should be cash.
Right.
Totally. I think these are different. Those two things are different than what's going on now. That being said, there seems to be opportunities to make money on these chains.
Yep.
There seems to be people putting up liquidity, and doesn't seem to be going away. So I'm trying to look at it. As you can tell, I'm not participating too much in it. I don't have very many plans to, because, I'd rather talk about Hedron. I'd rather talk about, all the stuff coming up. But this is a good point of is HEX going to have a hard time with all the liquidity staking? I'm not sure about HEX. I think the way I would think of it is, and I don't want to give any truth that this is taking power away from world's largest airdrop, because I still feel like that narrative is intact. I think it's key. I think people will.
It technically still will be.
Yeah. And beside the technical point, I still don't think it takes too much air out of the room when PulseChain launches, whenever that may be. And when PulseChain launches, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to forget about ETH-PW and stuff, or at least it's going to take a way back seat.
Agreed.
But I think if anything, it's going to have I think short term, HEX doesn't seem to be going up too much. I'll say that, and it has dipped and all that. So there seems to be some shuffling there, unfortunately, because of course I like seeing a bigger HEX price rather than a low one. But I don't know. I think there's so much at stake, like in the literal sense of the meaning of those words for HEX, that I cannot see that these 2 forks taking that much economic energy away from it.
I agree.
I don't think it's a threat. I'm not saying it's, it's obviously not good for it. I don't know how you could say it's good for the HEX price. I think that would be, maybe you could make a couple niche points, but I don't think there's a huge thing saying this is good for HEX. But is it good for Hexicans? I think I can see data on both sides for that one. So
I think so too.
What do you think, Scott?
I think that ETHW and ETH Fair are really interesting opportunities in regards to someone that wants to learn how to, for example, provide liquidity. Yeah. Because at least in the beginning, I don't know what the prices are now, but you could drop a $20 bill in there and you had to go through a bunch of different exchanges. It was a lot of hoops you had to jump through, but you could get a $20 bill in there and get the multiple 6 figures of HEX and or billion plus Hedron.
Practice for PulseChain. That's a valid point.
That's exactly what it is. It's interesting opportunities to practice providing liquidity, to become familiar with that whole world for free, basically. If you just want to use the copies that you have, if you have enough to provide liquidity already, and you've never done that before, and now you have those copies on ETHW or ETH Fair, practice if that's something that you're interested in. What have you got to lose? I do think that they've risen a lot in value. I think they're going to continue to rise a lot in value, exclusively for the sake of the community. The community won't let them not rise in value. They won't let them fail. even if the value is not astronomical, like I think it will continue to be on HEX and especially on PulseChain, they won't let them be. This community is too awesome for that. And I think it's really good marketing. You know, there's a lot of people that have never heard of HEX that are Googling ETHW, ETH Fair, and they're learning about stuff. They're like, okay, what's what? And they start diving in. They start looking at the liquidity pairs, and they, you know, HEX is at the top of all of them. What is this HEX thing? What is this Hedron? And I hear stories and rumors of a lot of people being introduced to HEX and Hedron over the last 4 or 5 days, simply because of that, because they've seen that HEX is at the top of all the liquidity pairs, all of them. Yeah. Like we just dominated. We dominated in volume. We dominated in everything. So it's really good for marketing, both of them. The fact that Justin Sun is part of ETH Fair makes me raise an eyebrow. And I know that today, I think Binance announced that they're going to be supporting ETH Fair. I don't know where they stand on ETHW. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. Maybe somebody in the chat knows a lot more about that than I do. If you do, let us know. But I think ETH Fair is going to be now supported on Binance. I know I don't know if ETHW is. I know ETHW is on FTX, I believe. At least that's how I got it. When I took a 20 and I went in and I bought a whole bunch of HEX in the very, very, very beginning because I wanted to practice providing liquidity so I could learn about it. I did that with Hedron and HEX. That's just money I'm considering washed away, but it's already way up from where it was. So if that continues to rise, great. That's just free money. I won't live in it. I won't live in that for very long. Except for all the stakes that I have that were copied over. I think that ETH 2.0, I don't see the value being drained out of that the way that some of those here in the community think that it will. And I could be completely wrong. And I don't know a lot. But the reason I don't think that is ETH 2.0 has a track record of over 1,000 days of flawless uptime. And that's where, at least at the moment, that's where a lot of the attention is. That's where everybody moved to. Most of those who are involved in crypto, the overwhelming majority might not even be aware that the merge even took place. Those that are heavily invested, there's probably multi-millionaires that don't even know that what the merge is. You know, it's as far as they're concerned, ETH is the Ethereum chain is exactly the same as it's always been. They don't pay attention to those things. There's probably some major hexkins that don't know that it even happened, because they have a lot of money that, you know, that's been sitting staked in wallets. And so that's where their attention is. And I think they're going to continue to pay attention to that. That's where their security is. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. It's worked for 1,000 days. And even though ETHW is technically the same and ETH Fair is the same, technically-ish, they don't know that and they don't care. And they might not even care about PulseChain in the very beginning because it hasn't proven itself yet. Ethereum 2.0 has for several years. And so I think that for that reason, the value that we have on Ethereum, even before it gets copied to PulseChain, I think it's going to stay. It'll yes, of course, I think it'll dip some, but it's not going to be drained down to nothing like a lot of people think it will. And again, I can be wrong, but I don't see that happening, because a lot of the big and people that invest large amounts of money, and I mean tens of millions of dollars that, you know, turned into hundreds or billions, they're not paying attention to the nitty gritty. I would imagine they're probably going to be more on the macro side, and so they're going to stick with the chain. If they are aware of these other chains, they don't care. Probably in their mind, it's just another Ethereum classic. They're going to stick with the chain that's proven itself for several years over, because, you know, that's where all their money is. And it's not like having $10,000 or $20,000. It's like having 10 or 20 million. And so they're going to take security over the possibility. They're going to take security over possibility of, you know, extra gains any day of the week.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I mean, I think I would summarize it too for my thoughts is, would I put new money into the new chains? I don't see any reason to do that.
Very little, if any.
For me. Yeah,
agreed. I did it for education.
At least at this point.
That's it.
Yeah. And well, you may have had, a lot of people probably have free coins to do it, to play with liquidity and stuff too. Yeah. But I put new money into it after 6 days, however long it's been. I don't see any reason to do that anytime soon.
I agree.
is it valuable to play with the free money you have over there?
Yeah.
Cautiously, yes. But I would say the only concern I would have is, everything's new. Nothing seems to be official hardly coming out of these two forks. There's going to be a lot of scam sites. A lot of places are going to want you to connect your wallet.
You're right. You're right.
And if you do that and you connect to the wrong one, you can go read my malicious, I'll drop in the chat, malicious smart contracts blog. I always keep it handy because you sign the wrong transaction, they can take your money.
Love it. So for anybody in the chat thinking about doing that, let me say this just for your sake. Create a new wallet, a burner wallet, a new seed phrase, a new everything, and then take your copies of your coins, or if you put some money in the very beginning like I did, and $20 got you a ton for the sake of providing liquidity, send all of it. Do not connect your wallets. Do not connect your stake wallets. Do not connect your sacrifice wallets if you have those. Do not connect wallets with any value. Create a new wallet, a new seed phrase over here, and send all your practice funds for ETHW and ETHFair over there to that wallet, so that if you connect to a wrong site, or you do something wrong, or you slip up and all of it gets drained, fine, no big deal. They're not going to drain your sacrifices, or they're not going to ruin that wallet for you. Rather, they're not going to drain and destake you. They're not going to drain your value is what I'm trying to say. Do that with the burner wallet and consider that play money. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you need to do anything at all? No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You could wait 6 months to a year. You could see how it goes. You could wait, wait till you think, whoa, this thing actually took off. Here's a good price. I want to, now here's the time I want to engage. You don't need to engage the first 2 weeks the thing comes out.
And even this,
you don't need to.
The same with PulseChain, even when that comes out, there's going to be a lot of volatility, and a lot of people that don't understand ratios may lose everything. They may get absolutely wrecked. And so we're under no obligation, to your point, we're under no obligation as HEXCons or PulseCons to engage with PulseChain on moment one, on day one. Because, unless you're very familiar with ratios, man, you could just really mess up and lose a bunch of so, and Coffee says this, kick it for a little while, just relax for a little bit until the dust settles, and then get in, and then dive in. That's the safe play.
Yeah. Ratio trading is for advanced users only.
Yes. Agreed.
You don't want to lose the money you sacrifice over getting some bad deal. I would not recommend that. Advanced users only.
Yep.
Vic Bish, I really love RH products, but I'm thinking it's not good to have all my money in the same basket. Are you saying in the same ecosystem or the same wallet? I can't quite tell. Because same basket to me means the same cryptos.
Yeah, he's probably saying the whole RH ecosystem. He's probably asking, it's not a good...
To that, I would say emphatically yes.
Agreed.
In my opinion. And it's the only one worth being in my opinion.
A lot of people want to diversify in different assets, and that's fine. That's up to them. I guess every investor is different, and everybody has a different risk tolerance. All I can do is say what I'm doing, and I think you and I are both in the same camp on this too. Of all of the products that I've looked at, RH products seem to be the ones that are the most solid. I'm not interested in, a 20x with Gala. I'm not interested in a 30 or a 40x with immutable X. And those might be great. They might be great. I don't care about Matic. Might be great. It may 100x, and I hope it does for all the Matic holders out there. I don't know about those long term, but I do know about PulseChain long term. I do know about the RH ecosystem long term, and I do know about the RH ecosystem and what we can expect, or maybe that's the wrong term, what we hope for in regards to the appreciation of all of its products. I'm really, and some of the derivatives as well. There's a variety of the derivatives that I'm very bullish on that I like a lot. That's, if I had to pick an ecosystem, it'd be that one. I don't know enough about some of the other ecosystems. I think Phantom's a decent one. I think Matic's a decent one. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are excited about those. Great. I don't expect them to do the same things that the RH ecosystem is going to do. And so I would vote, pick the winner. I don't want to, was it Warren Buffett that said diversifying is ridiculous?
I was going to say that diversification is for when you don't know what you're doing. or diversification is when you're not sure.
Great statement. Yes.
You look at the data, look at the chart. How are you not sure RH product, at least the one he's got right now,
it's a great
all the economic energy that went into the next two?
Yep.
It's just the biggest no-brainer I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I
say that again. I'm not a fanboy. I'm a first principles thinker. I think from the ground up in all these things.
I agree.
I don't even want to say, I can't help but be biased in a certain way subconsciously, but I really evaluate Richard based on merit as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
There is nothing that gives me concern about these products long term. You're here to put $100 in to flip it in 6 months. Think about your investment thesis. But if you're going to be here for a few years, you know, and get super rich, who else is going to do that? Like, who else is making products to do that for you?
Agree.
I'm here for 20% baby gains, as Richard would say.
Yeah.
And when I first came into crypto, I was trading shitcoins. I got in all these products. I know Phantom, I know Neo, I know DigiBuy. I mean, all that stuff. Like I went through. This is not my first bear market. It's my second bear market.
Did you crush it, or did you get wrecked when you were trading?
Well, I think along with the other 99%, I didn't believe it was going to go down quite so much. So I became the bag holder. I was in the company of bag holders in that way.
Happens, man.
But I had diamond hands. But in the bad time to have diamond hands, I had diamond hands.
Yeah.
But I didn't have staking. I wasn't earning interest. None of that stuff back then. So yeah. Anyway, been in crypto for quite a while now, a few years, and there's nothing better. There's nothing better. I've not seen anything better. I've pretty much got rid of all my other coins. Only look at stuff in the RH ecosystem. Now, I'm not saying just RH products. I'm not a Richard Hart maximalist, product maximalist. I'm a Richard Hart maximalist for his ideals and his mission. His products enable his ideals and his mission. And the community projects, a lot of them that, you know, I've evaluated and seen that they're going to do good. And, you know, they do something good for the blue chips. They do something good for HEX, PulseChain, all the other that. I like those products, and I invest in those products. There's just nothing better. There's just not. I'm totally convinced. I will die on that hill. There's nothing better.
I agree. Most of the other blue chips out there, you know, Solana's down all the time. You know, even Ethereum's had to break off with its old one. And
I've had to fork a couple times recently.
They've had to fork is the word I'm looking for. They've had to fork.
Yes.
Even in the past, a lot of the blue chips, if so to speak, have issues. Most cryptos, for the little time that I've been in this, seem to have issues, or there seem to be, whether they're technical issues, coding issues, infrastructure issues, trust issues, and HEX doesn't have that, and PulseChain and PulseX are not going to have that, and a lot of the derivatives built on them don't have that. It's all immutable. There's no admin keys. I can't tell you how important that is to me, how important that was to me in deciding to do all this. You know, because when you do research, you see there's rug pulls all over the place. I'm like, man, I don't want to be a part of this. And the no admin key was very attractive to me.
Telegrams disappear like that.
Yeah, overnight.
It's crazy. I mean, you wouldn't believe it unless you've experienced it. It's crazy.
Agreed.
So I just want to go back to a couple comments before we ended the previous conversation, before we got back into crypto. Yeah, a lot of appreciation from AJ on this. And
Brother AJ.
Bravo, standing applause from
UFO. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Patrice says, feels good, man.
Feels good, man.
Yes. Okay. Let's just get the questions here. What was this one he said? Other HEX drops for noise. That's not an invalid position. Not an invalid position.
Yep.
HEX did 275 very much PulseX too. Yeah. PulseX. So why are you excited about PulseX? You want to talk about that?
Man, the buy and burn is one of the most attractive things I've ever heard of. Or ever
B&B, better than bread and breakfast. We got the buy and burn.
That's the real B&B.
That's the man. We got to do some like Airbnb sponsorship now. But like, have you heard of the buy and burn Airbnb crypto wing? We're starting a new org.
Hey man, did you go on buy? You have the new did you see B&B went up a little bit and B&B? I got the real B&B, babe.
I like that, the B&B play from Binance.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that one. That's a good one.
It's a real thing.
The real B&B.
You know what my favorite part to answer more of your question, Hamza? My favorite part about the community, yeah, of course, the products are second to none. They're the best of the best. They've been designed with, or they're being designed with the utmost care. But my favorite aspect of the whole RH ecosystem, aside from all of that, is the community. The community is unstoppable. You know, if Richard wanted to, he could come out with a really subpar product and it would still get pushed to the moon.
It would have launched mid-May.
It would have gone to the moon, I think. And he even still, if he wanted to, he can come out with just an average product and it'd go to the moon because the community is so strong.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. I just want to make sure everyone listening, he could have launched, it still could have went to the moon. Maybe wouldn't have lasted long. There'd been a huge effect to his glory and mission, but he could have did it, but he chose not to. He did the hard thing. He delayed the gratification.
That's right. Well, if he would have come out early and it would have been less than amazing, imagine what that would have done to HEX. That would have hurt his reputation bad. And that would have affected all of us, all of the Hexkins out there. That would have, even though HEX is an extraordinary product, it's Nobel Prize worthy, in my opinion. It still would have gotten a big black mark, a big black stain right above it. If PulseChain, PulseX, or anything that he designs, if it had some issues, that would have hurt the reputation, it would have hurt the price of HEX, it would have hurt all of us. So doing the hard thing in that instance was right. I think doing the hard thing is almost always right in whatever circumstances you're in, and you really sit and think about it. But that would have hit us hard if something would have happened. He wants it to be perfect, and so do I. That's the right move for HEX. That's the right move for Pulse and PulseX, my opinion.
It's the quote comes to mind from Naval is easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life.
One of the best quotes ever. Yeah.
It's
so true.
I love Naval. I got to read. I think I've read the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, like read/listened to it. Got to be 6 times now, 5 or 6 times.
Audible. Do you rock with Audible? Is that what you listen to?
Oh yeah. Audible. Everything these days, Audible. Yeah.
Audible. I agree. Like I've got some really nice wireless headphones that get great sound quality, and that's just always on my head. Always, because as you know, if I'm not here working and I'm walking around or doing anything, mowing the yard, whatever, I'm listening, I'm learning. You know, half the time it's, you know, Hexkin streams and information like that, and the other half the time it's Audible.
I'm outside cutting grass. I'm listening to live streams. That's what I do too. Or audiobook. I went through so many books the last couple of years. I'm like, okay, I'm okay doing more live streams these days, but that's just because I feel, you know, like I've got my feel and a lot of the ways for that.
Yep, I agree. I know what you mean.
Scrolling through chat. Hex still gonna hex.
Hex is gonna hex. I couldn't agree more, AJ.
Mr. Kupazzo, like this guy, he's been coming to a lot of streams lately.
Mr. Kupazzo,
appreciate you, man.
Word.
Looking forward to the upcoming dip mid-October to mid-November. Well, do you know something we don't know? Certainly could go up, could go down.
Yeah, there's some really bright minds out there that think that we're going to see more of a dip. I don't know. I think it's certainly in the cards.
I think I would lose my mind if we hit sub-penny hex.
If we hit sub-penny hex,
I would just sell everything.
I think. If that happened, I would too. You know, I've got a variety of things set aside to sell in the event that I want to DCA more. I've got the bags that I have now. I'm kind of, for the most part, DCA'd in. 90% of the bags that I have now of my stables, I've got them dedicated to PulseChain. Yes. But
that'd be a tough one. That'd be a tough one. Your dry powder for PulseChain or Hex sub penny.
If Hex keeps dropping, man, I'm just gonna take I'll probably take half of the PulseChain bag and just DCA in, because, you know, if we get an announcement, which I've thought a lot about this, I'm not convinced that we're gonna get one. I hope we do. It seems like the right thing to do. A firm announcement. Maybe it's a couple of days. I hope we get that. But if that happens, imagine what the HEX price will do. Imagine. It'll skyrocket, and it would be really neat to get in as low, to get in at a penny, or as low as we are right now, to continue to be DCAing, and then watch that double, triple, quadruple over the course of a couple of days in anticipation for the hard launch or the announcement. It'd be really hard not to want to enjoy that and then get all the HEX over.
That's what I was going to say too on the DCA point. Like, Coffee talked about, if you bought at 50 cents and then bought at 9 cents or something, or 5 cents, that your DCA is way lower than you think it is. Imagine if you bought at 8, 9 cents, you thought, okay, this is the bottom. A lot of people thought 8 cents was the bottom, 2 or 3 months ago.
Sure.
And then you bought it sub penny. Like, amazing. Like, I'm literally someone who I try to be very disciplined. I try not to over leverage myself, all these things. But oh my gosh, we get sub penny HEX, Max going shopping.
It's going all in. Yeah. Time to sell the truck.
I don't know how much more all in I can be, but if there's a way, I think I would push myself on that one. I would look at some hard numbers and be like, this needs to happen.
I hear you, man. That's why I've been selling amplifiers. I've sold a few guitars. I don't really play. I've sold whatever.
Next time I talk to you, like 3 months from now, you're just gonna be like an empty room.
All that's gonna be gone.
HEX hit 0.7 and 0.75, and Scott doesn't have anything more furniture.
I don't even have a shirt on. I've sold all my clothes.
Yeah, like, I don't need clothes. I got more. I got a big bag of HEX now. I got so many bags.
I believe in it. I believe in it that much, man. I really do.
As you can tell, I guess the way we're talking about this, maybe we sound a little crazy, but it's like, it's obvious.
Yeah,
it's just so obvious.
That's okay. And we have the benefit of hindsight. The guys in the very beginning. Are you an OG? Were you there in the very beginning, day one? So that's amazing to me, because you guys didn't have hindsight. You didn't have any track record or any history to look back on and see what RH's assets have done, or this particular asset. You knew nothing. It was just like, I'm going to do it. Here, let's see what happens. You have nothing. Now, the present day you and me and everybody else paying attention, we have hindsight. We can look back. There is a track record and a phenomenal track record that we can look back on and say, that's what it's done. That's what we can expect here too. And we have more than one asset. We have a variety of different assets. We know this asset's incredible, amazing. It's not going anywhere but up. We know that, but we have these other assets too. And we see what it's done. That helps us. I want to refrain from using the word expectations, but that helps us. That helps us get excited for, or rather look forward to, what that will do again, in addition to these other assets that we have. No-brainer truly is the right word. I think I even made a post about that like yesterday or the day before. It's like the biggest no-brainer of our lifetimes. Or I might have said of a generation. I don't remember what I said, but it is truly a no-brainer. Literally.
Every time I see somebody say, "Oh, HEX is the worst performing asset of this year," it just, to the average person, that, I guess that's meaningful, or like, oh wow, I should look out, maybe I shouldn't click log on that chart or something. But to me, when I hear that, I just think, do you not see the opportunity? Do you not see that is a good thing? Again, people are over leveraged. They bought at 50 cents. They may not feel that way. They have a lot of, negative feelings, understandably. But to someone who knows price going to go back up, that is your birthday. It's your birthday every day.
And this is the most exciting thing about that to me. The fact that it's gone down so much, such a large percentage, is really exciting to me, because that lets us know that, it's still the best kept secret. It won't be for long. But look back on Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other assets that have gone through a number of cycles. Their first cycles were when they fell the hardest. And that was still when they were still voices just kaput from screaming and singing all day. That was when they were still the newest. So when their prices were the lowest, and when the least amount of people knew about them. So you could still get crazy amounts of that. And this is just me looking back over, I wasn't there, of course, but this is me looking back on the charts, looking at the history. Their largest falls were their first and second falls. Now that the world, or not the world of crypto, now that they're very familiar with, everyone knows what Bitcoin is, that knows what crypto is. Everyone knows what Ethereum is, that knows what crypto is. They don't fall nearly as much. They fall a lot, but they don't fall, 94, 95%, whatever we're at now. They don't fall that much anymore because they can't. There's too much volume. There's too much liquidity. You can't push the price down that low anymore. But we can still do that for HEX, or rather, that's still happening for HEX, which lets us know, for all of you that are worried about that, this is when you look back and you think, if I only could have bought Ethereum on that big giant first bear market dip, or if I only could have been there for Bitcoin on that big giant first market dip. Side note, when very few people knew about it and when the price was super low, then my life would be great. Then I'd have everything. Well, that's what this is with HEX. This is that very first big giant bear market dip, macro bear market. That's it. Next cycle, whether it's 4 years from now or however many years it takes, we don't know what the macro will change, but, and assuming it's 4 years, the next cycle, it's not going to be able to fall this low because more and more and more and more people are finding out about it every day. There's going to be a lot more volume, a lot more holders, a lot more liquidity. We're not going to be able to enjoy this big giant dip that we're having now. This is that golden opportunity of Bitcoin and Ethereum's first big bear market crash. This is that. We're there for this one. Be excited. If that makes sense at all.
Don't be afraid. I think it's a good point. Like, don't be afraid of the bear. If I've learned anything in the last bear market, and I've learned in the first half of this one, don't be afraid. Like, you got to have nobody. You see any rich cowards?
Oh, great statement.
There's no rich cowards. Like, you got to be brave, like in a smart way, like a smart brave, not reckless, but like you got to put your money where your mouth is on this stuff. You want to be rich, you can't do it. Walking around talking about it.
Right. That's right.
How bullish Maxi versus HEX? What do you think, Scott?
I like Maxi. I like Maxi a lot. The only thing I got to say this, I'll tell you an awesome story about the guys from Maxi in just a minute. But initially, I love the 4 or 5x, I can't remember, Hedron multiplier that Maxi has. I loved it. I went all in back then when it launched, a handful of months ago. And I'm enjoying the perpetuals now and team. The fact that they came out with the Diamond Hands contract just saves the day for me, because I think that a lot of people, I can see a situation where a lot of people will have them in, they'll tell themselves, I've got diamond hands. I'm not going to sell if this happens or that happens. I'm not going to take profits or what I think are profits and then wreck myself 6 months from now. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be solid. But if they have the opportunity to do that, to take those profits, a lot of those people that told themselves they wouldn't will. And
99%.
They'll wreck themselves. And that was the only eyebrow raiser for their, that was the only, and that I don't even want to call it a negative actuality of all those contracts because I don't see it that way. But that will solve the problem for anyone that might suffer from that.
It made me hesitate. It made me think, I don't know if I can trust myself to do that. That's how much I love the staking feature. Like, it made me double take. No, I mean, I love the project. I love Dipcatcher and Gold Key, and I love what they're doing. They're actually one of the few founders that just make pure beautiful music with code and all these products.
Me too.
But that made me double take. I'm like,
the Diamond Hands.
Give me a way to stake this stuff, or there is a way to stake it and all that, but make it where the Diamond Hand that really enables the ethos of save yourself from yourself.
Agreed.
And that's what I thought. Them putting that in just
agreed
to the moon for saving yourself in that vertical.
I'm very bullish on the whole Maximus DAO, all their products. I really like it. I got to tell you this story because this happened just a couple of days ago, and I've got to sing the praises of Dipcatcher and Gold Key and anybody else that they have working behind the scenes on their team.
Sure.
Speaking of team, I minted a variety of the perpetuals not long ago, and when when the contracts were first released a few weeks ago, I minted a little bit of team. And then just to see, I was in a hurry just to see. Mm-hmm. Maybe 5 or 6 days ago or so, I minted a lot of team comparatively. Probably not a lot to a lot of people, but for me in my bags, it was a lot. And as soon as I minted it, I staked it. And I forgot that I staked it. So like 2 days ago, this is just me being an idiot. Like 2 days ago, I was looking through my wallets, I had a plan to do this, that, and the other. And I noticed just in passing, wait a minute, why is my team balance so low? And I had to think about it, and I refreshed the wallet, and I went and I looked on the contract on Etherscan. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, well, what's happened here? What did I do? And I'm like, I know, I'll ask the guys at Maximus and see if they can figure it out for me. So I reach out to them and I contact them, and I'm like, hey guys, I don't know, something might be wrong with the contract. Maybe I messed up. I don't know, but here's what happened, and I wrote out what I did. It's like, and now I can't find my team. And dude, I don't know if it was Dipcatcher. I don't know if it was Gold Key or somebody else that they had behind the scenes that we don't know about, but within 60 seconds, they had responded to me. I'm like, hey, you got the transaction hash? We'll get it figured out. They were on it, man. And so I sent over the transaction hash, and probably 10 minutes later, I had gone downstairs and I was just hanging out thinking, what could have happened? And I was like, I staked it. What an idiot. And so I wrote them, like, guys, I'm sorry. Let me pay you for your time. I messed up. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. But my point is this. They were on it. A dude needed help. Dude messed up. Dude didn't know what he was doing. And they were there. And I knew that. I knew that they would be. If you watch their streams, you just get to discern their personalities and the genuine nature that both of them entail. Yeah. And it didn't surprise me at all. I almost expected it. Like, they were just there. They're those kinds of people that are building those contracts. And they're geniuses at that. So
they only know excellence.
Singing praises to the whole Maximus DAO. Super bullish on the people and on the contracts. Yeah.
Speaking of singing praises, did you still got a voice? Like, you want to grab a drink or something, or you still want to sing us a song? If you're interested. Yeah, man, I will. Are people asking for it or something? There have been some in the chat. They're saying, do it. Yeah. Come back on, but you haven't came on yet. So there you go. Let me take a swig of old H2O. Yeah. Flow that sway. Yeah. The PulseChain song. Have you heard it yet? I have not. No. I'm silly. For first time. Let's do it. It's a silly song. Do it. They're saying do it. Do it. All right. Do it. Make sure I'm in tune here. What's the name of the song again? It's literally called the PulseChain song. Okay. Nice. Oh man, let's see. A little rusty. How's it sound? Can you hear me and the guitar? Yeah, all right, cool. You never know how the compressor is going to act. No, it's great. See. All right, guys. Well, I drifted off again at work, thinking about PulseChain. And occasionally I think back to that twerk, Richard Hart bringing his game. Even though I missed the sacrifice 'cause I came too late, day one, I'm still making it rain. Woo! I drifted off again at work, thinking about PulseChain. Awesome. Well, I woke up in a sweat last night, dreaming about PulseX. Won't be long before I'm going to bed, wearing a Rolex. There's so much to love about it, I
can't pick my favorite. It's almost better than well. Oh, I woke up in a sweat last night, dreaming about Pulse.
So good.
Thanks, man. Super important verse. If you wanna be set up for life, you better stake your HEX. May as well start with 5, a financial suplex.
Woo!
Oh, generational wealth is just a click away. It's a Nobel Prize worthy flex. If you want to be set up for life, you better stake your HEX. A financial suplex. A Nobel Prize worthy flex. You better stake your
Woo! Amazing, man. Love it. Love it.
Oh, hey, the voice held up, sort of. That was a lot of fun, man.
I'm blown away. That's first of all, a great song,
dude.
Thanks. Second of all, great lyrics.
Thanks,
playing it live, no preparation. You just going off the cuff, and you nailed it.
Hey, I forgot a few, but
fantastic.
I pulled them out of the air. Thanks, man. Okay. That's super cool of you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for playing. It's the first for me. I've never heard anyone play live on the stream yet. So you're number one. Probably will be the only one to ever do that, I imagine.
I
love it, man. Yeah, everyone's going nuts here.
Cool, dudes. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks, man.
Where can we? Do you have it recorded on YouTube?
You know what? I posted it. I recorded it just like that. I was just standing in front of a camera and I sang it back when I posted it on. I posted it on Twitter initially, and it blew up and it was awesome. And you know, it got a lot of response, which is great. I figured that was the goal, like to brighten the community at the time because everybody was in.
I think I have heard it now. I know I have heard. I think I did see it on Twitter.
Right on. I posted it on YouTube just so that it would have a place to live because you can't just look it up on Twitter. So I put it on YouTube. So it's there. So there it is. So you can find it. Like just look up Scott Foster Harris and a bunch of stuff, random things will come up, but you'll find my channel and it's, I posted it maybe like 3 weeks ago or a month or so ago, maybe a month and a half. I forgot how long it's been, but it's there. Just look up PulseChain. You'll see it.
Bravo.
Thanks, man.
Amazing. I don't think we're gonna get any better than that. So we'll wrap up. Wow. I'm hyped. I need to go outside and do a run or something now. I got some energy after that. I was geez, man. Fantastic. How can tell people, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? What can they do to get in touch with you and keep up to date?
So I've been off socials for a long time, but I've just started to try to get back on to try something. So you can find me on Twitter, of course, official SFH, my initials, Instagram, all that stuff. Just look up Scott Foster Harris. I'll be there. Yeah, that's it. I started a TikTok, so that's always fun. Try to get something going there. You just look up Scott Foster Harris, since the middle name makes it unique. You can find me. Just look it up in any of the search bars of whatever platform you're on, and I should, if I have it, I'll come up.
So on Twitter, I know at least at official SFH, right? Yep.
That's me.
Okay. That's the one. So if nothing else, go there. You can find the other links. Well done. Great conversation, man.
Really enjoyed it, brother. Truly did.
Yeah. Like I said, it shouldn't be the last one. I think we should have another conversation at some point.
Agreed. I'd love
go
that.
Into it. So good. So fun. Thanks, chat. Thanks, everyone. You all had some great questions too. Great questions. Great. Thanks for cheering Scott on. Got him to sing on the stream. I'm pumped, man. I'm gonna have to go. Sloth, you're super late, but you need to rewind. You need to watch this. It's good for you.
Yo.
So good. Yes, official Scott Foster Harris.
Hey, coming on the tail end's better than no end. So welcome.
That's true. That's true. A lot of euphemisms in that. I like that too, though.
Touche, sir.
Awesome. All right, Scott, let's get you out of here. Yeah, follow me, everyone. If you're listening to this audio only, at RHMax, just the way it sounds. We are bringing you these killer interviews, which are literally a manifestation of the guests I get on the show.
Word.
I can't do any better than they can. I'm always doing worse. So if they excel, we all win, right? That's how it works. Yeah, man, great. I can go for a run. You got me excited.
Awesome.
All right.
Good.
All right, everyone. We got 100% uptime this weekend. I don't think I'm doing any more streams for the rest of the week. I'll take some time off, but this weekend, come back for 100% uptime, and we'll have a special guest, and we may be talking about some cool, more philosophical stuff, Scivive, and fix the world.
We like it.
I certainly like it. So selfishly, I'm going to stream regardless because I like talking about it. So hopefully other people will join us too. So, all right, everyone, have a great rest of your evening, and we are out.
Cheers.